So if you've been a part of my small community, you will have noticed I use some unusual weapons that are not very often seen out in the field and usually are considered collector's items or plinkers, aka target shooters. But in this video, I'll disclose to you some of the pros and cons of using the weapons I have chosen for combat, or, in other words, airsoft matches. Let's go. Size. We all know some guns are smaller and some guns are bigger, as same as some people are bigger and some people are smaller. But as for me, I chose probably one of the largest, if not one of the largest airsoft replicas ever designed. The Barrett, for one, is coming in at a length around 4 feet long, which is around 2 feet longer than the average airsoft gun in perspective, using my M4/DMR as perspective with my short stock, and around 1.5 foot long upper to get those measurements. So it's a little bit of a longer version, but it is a very much longer than the average. So for comparison, here is my M4, and here is my 50 cal. As you can see, they're very different in size, which for a sniper means you have to have more cover for ghillie to cover the weapon and conceal it. And over time, I've learned different manners in which to do so with such a large airsoft replica. I like to use the word firearm because I treat them as if they were real firearms, but I'm going to call it a replica in this video. Now on to weight. This sucks for this replica. It weighs around 12 pounds without the scope, but with it attached it weighs closer to 16, 17 pounds. That is not to include the air tank to run the HPA engine inside the replica, which weighs around 1 to 2 pounds, which could be lighter because there are aftermarket tanks that are lighter, but this is the tank I actually have right now sitting around with what I'm running around with. With all that said, it takes some serious energy to wield this replica out in the field, and to give you some perspective, my M4 weighs in around 6 pounds, so it's much heavier than the average, and considering my M4 is a little bit heavier than the average, that gives you a little bit more perspective. I know some of my friends who have replicas that weigh in at 2, 3, and like 5 pounds. So considering this thing weighs 12 pounds without the scope and it weighs 16 with it, it is a very hefty replica. But it's a frickin' 50 cal, so that's to be expected. If you own an airsoft replica, you either buy it for two reasons. You either buy it for performance or you buy it for the coolness factor. For me personally, I rather have something cool than something that performs perfectly out of the box. Also, upgrading it along the way is a nice learning curve and something that I actually personally enjoy. For the people who do buy things out of the box that are for performance, I don't doubt you. I've gone against you guys and I have nothing against you guys. But for me personally, I'd rather have something that, for me, even when I'm not using it and it's sitting on my wall, it looks cool, I feel better about my purchase because I'm looking at something that's very unique, very rare. As for accuracy, she is really lackluster when I first got her. She had a very outdated barrel and a very outdated hop-up system when I first got her. Not to mention the rubber was really bad. But after pretty much gutting all of that from the gun and replacing it with some aftermarket parts, it is a very accurate and very high-end performing weapon when it comes to accuracy at range. She can hit most targets out at 100 yards or 100 feet, give or take, but without cranking the PSI up, I can't really get beyond that when it comes to accuracy. This is mostly due to my field's regulation of play, as well as the max joule limit allowed for DMRs/sniper rifles. As for build quality, I give it a 7 out of 10. The main body is all metal, and I've had no problems thus far. Though, I have had some small details with some of the details that were either lost in play or damaged beyond repair. Some of the parts that failed were the little rings and detail rings for like some of the parts that normally on the real weapon can be used to disassemble the weapon. But I have also damaged the bipod beyond repair as well as the carry handle. The barrel brake also broke, but I will admit that I did do that myself to replace it. So, though I will mention this, I do torture test most of my gear when I'm playing, so it may not happen with you, but for me, with my very violent and very carefree way I play, I have had a couple things break. But most of the standard things that break were some of the smaller things that no one really cares about. Other than that, I've had no problems with the build quality thus far. Compatibility. I ain't gonna spend hours looking for special parts online or scouring the web looking for one or two small little trinkets that need to go into my replica. This is where this gun truly does shine though. The entire internal of this replica is V2 compatible. V2 gearbox, V2 hop-up, easy to find parts for this Airsoft replica, as well as easy to maintenance and repair. Though I did switch to HB later, but everything inside the replica was easy to work with and relatively cheap to get my hands on. One thing though that does hinder this replica's compatibility is the magazines. As far as the magazines go, they are standard, basically standard M4 style, Vietnam style magazines inside, internally wise. So you can replace parts with them with any normal magazine that you have. Problem is the shell or the mag itself, when you're buying a brand new one, can cost $50 to $90, which really does hinder this compatibility thing. As well as they're also very rarely stocked from what I can see. If the mag wasn't in the picture, I'd give this compatibility probably almost a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10, if the magazine wasn't a part of it. Though with the magazine being part of it, I have to give it a good 6 or 7. So, with all that said, what's my thoughts on my loadout? Well, to be completely honest with you, I love it. I love playing with it. I love recording videos with it. The size makes it a very good challenge to camouflage it, which enhances my experience when I'm learning how to do this ghillie craft. Because the more you do it, the more you get better at it. You learn different tactics, different small ways of doing things. But I'm not going to bore you all with all that jazz right now in this video. But generally, yes, some days I wish it could be lighter. But it's a 50 cal. The weight is what makes it feel good. It's what makes it feel like I'm actually running around with a 50 cal at the end of the day. And it's also one of those things where like anyone sees me, they're either like, oh crap, there's the guy with the big boy gun, or it's something like, wow, I've never seen that. It's always fun seeing the reactions of people, as well as seeing the absolute fear on their faces when I show up to play and they think this gun's gonna blow a hole in their shoulder, even though it's completely safe and regulated. But it's those kinds of funny moments that I love with just having my Airsoft replica of the 50 caliber M82. So what do you guys think about me running a 50 cal as a scout sniper? To me, I think it's dope as hell, but I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on this in the comment section below. But as always, I'll catch you all later. Peace out.